Welcome to Living in the Ampersand. Today is day 92 of my 108-day commitment to create and communicate. And as I said, I'm like, is it day 93? I think it's day 92. So I was sitting down at the kitchen bar with my sister and my brother-in-law and my mom, and I was like, I have to create my video. So we are actually having quite a conversation that I'll share a little bit more about. But the one thing I want to start with is that, I had a wee apple tree back at the shed in Cornwall, and I made applesauce using my mother's recipe that includes maple syrup and cloves, and I made applesauce, and I brought her over a jar. So we're having it with our roast pork and roast potatoes for dinner tonight. So how fun is that? And she just tasted it, and she's like, delicious. So yay. I will actually share this with you. This is a painting that my niece painted of my mother from quite a few years ago now, but isn't that amazing? Emily really loves to make big paintings. Kind of doing this backwards, but this is my nephew Josh, right? And yeah, my sister and her husband live in a house that can have big paintings. Their kitchen is probably almost twice the size of my shed. So, and here's one of my favorite paintings of Emily. This was from her senior year in high school back in 2013. And here's another painting. But I just love this one. She actually did a huge, massive painting of my daughter Gracie playing the guitar. And it's just one of those paintings that I just love. And I've got it rolled up in my storage unit to be brought out when I get to have a house again and have my own space. So, yeah. So we've been having quite a conversation down in the kitchen. Being willing to be vulnerable, being willing to take a stand for myself, being willing to be open and to really hear, being willing to engage deeply. And I feel very grateful that my mom and I have we've just been able to really have some amazing talks tonight. And so feeling very grateful that we can have those talks, that I can show up and be present and be authentic, be vulnerable, and practice everything that I've been doing so much inner work to be able to show up in. So, and I guess that's the piece, isn't it? We can all do all this inner work, and we can think that we are becoming so much more and living our truth and all these things that we can say. But when it comes down to it, it's how we show up with other people. Do we show up in kindness? Do we show up in caring? Do we show up even as perhaps we're contracting or shrinking or reacting, that we can notice that, be aware of what's happening, and rather than having to react, to act out, to attack, or to withdraw, can we continue to show up? And that's the true gift of the inner work, is being able to show up and be in presence, to be in our hearts. And then as our hearts are held in our wombs, in our haras, that we get to just show up more and more fully. That is part of how we create a world of peace and harmony. It's not about not being angry or not being scared, but it's about acknowledging, first and foremost in ourselves, that that's what's happening. And then choosing to show up and engage. Yeah, I'm just feeling so much gratitude for being here, for getting to be in my family, being part of my family. However that looks, I'm getting the lessons and the gifts from the lessons that I need, and that hopefully they are too, and that, It's like I said yesterday, it comes down to love, right? It doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always love. And as I said to my mom, it's about choosing relationship over being right. It doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. It's about choosing the relationship first. So here's to family. Here's to the inner work being, feeding the ground that we each stand in and on, and showing up fully with each other, especially in those challenging moments. Yeah, but choosing to show up in love as love. All right, so much more to come, and I'm going to go back down and join my family. I'm enjoying being with them. See you tomorrow.